Welcome to Beauties and Beasties, the independent pest podcast for the UK.
Hello. How are we doing?
Good. How the devil are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Terry was the first one on the list, and when I clicked it, it swapped around with Wayne. So Wayne's now the first one. Hello, boys. Hello, Terry.
Everyone come and say.
How's your week been,
So
big
how
man?
you doing this, Sean? This is Witchcraft. There we go.
Yeah. Good evening,
I don't know what it is. You're like, if you look directly at the camera, for some reason your eyes tonight they are like White Walker blue. Like you look like something from Game of Thrones, man. What the hell's going on?
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, mad. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been all right. What have we done so far this week? I've had something happen. I can't even remember what it was. I've got a big customer looking at the software, which is quite nice. Got a bit of work to do on that. Had a couple of meetings about it, what we're going to do, what we're going to add, how we're going to get there. That's been okay. Pest control wise, bees are starting to come in now, but yeah, here's my warning to everyone. Had some nice weather, and then it's went a bit rubbishy. As soon as this weather changes, you'll see some excessive swarming, and the swarm calls that started and appear to have slowed will explode if we keep another 7 days of rubbish weather, and then you get some beautiful weather. They'll just be up and off, like they'll be gone out of boxes. So beekeeper, whatever it is, keep your eyes out. Asian hornets, they found 3 in 3 days. I think we've got about, the last time I looked, or the ones I'm aware of, I think we've had about 6, but that's what I'm aware of. So it might be more than that so far this year, which is not a very good start. They're going to come. And I tell you what, I think I think if you're not preparing for them, then you have to. FiCam has been popping up on the radar a bit.
Really?
People using it. People using it.
Come on, guys, we're better than this.
Do you know what it is, Alex? We're not. It would appear that the ones who have not stocked up on it are few and far between. From me speaking to people, yeah.
It's a shame. I mean, we have so many tools at our disposal. We have so many tools at our disposal. We are professionals. You know, the tools shouldn't dictate the perfection at the end of the day. We should be able to manage without it, because if we can't be able to manage without it, who can at the end of the day, is my opinion on that. But talking of Asian hornets, I met up with Mr. Moon last week, or maybe the week before.
France.
Yeah, right. Well, not in France. No, we just met somewhere in the south of England, clandestinely in a car park. No, just for a bit of a catch and a chat up and see how he was doing. He showed me some of the paintballs that they use out in France. They're very smart. Look like excellent bits of kit. It'd be lovely to see some of those come across to the UK, but I think we need to get some of the powers that be to sign off on that particular modus operandum before we start to see more of those coming across in force. But
my understanding is that they're not going to give us it because they're worried about paintballs missing and what they will hit. That's my understanding. It's not actually the delivery or anything, it's the chance of them going astray.
But if we use natural chrysanthemum, natural pyrethrum, the risks are relatively low. It breaks down very quickly in sunlight. So the risks of, the worst case scenario would fly over your Asian hornet's nest, sail through the air and land directly into the mouth of an active beehive. The chance of that happening, that's the golden BB, that is.
Is it not more worrying that it might land in a river or a pond with fish in it?
Potentially, yes, but at the same time, then you've just got to apply your same shooting principles that you would do for discharging any kind of ranged weapon, which is check your backstops and make sure you're not firing towards anything of concern. Same as any other sort of like.
Won't give a fuck, will they? They'll just be shooting them off like John Rambo, won't they, from the hip?
Dear. And there we go. Good stuff. I mean, we've had. I've had a particularly good week, as you all well know. If I'm productive, I'm happy, and I've had a productive week. So that was all good fun. You might be seeing me at some more of the regional shows and the road shows over the next couple of months, coming out to support Mr. Barnard. And talking of Lawrence, we interviewed his best chum last week, didn't we, Mr. Tim?
Oh yeah. They are best pals, aren't they? Were they ever in a relationship?
You'll get both of them chasing us down. No,
not openly. Not openly, were they?
No, not openly. No.
They are the Keir Starmer and Lord Wally of fucking Pest Control, aren't they? That's who they are.
Oh, when they listen back to this, they're going to have so much fun, and we're going to both get it so much in the ear.
Yeah.
But I'm glad everyone's enjoying it, absolutely. But there we go. Oh, what are we going to talk about tonight, Shaun?
Tonight we have a very interesting conversation, and it came about because Shaun Muller, who has Pest Perspectives Podcast, put a post on LinkedIn about saying that he didn't think that pest controllers should be putting pictures of dead creatures on social media, and it sort of triggered my attention. And then, of course, it's LinkedIn that you put it on, so you get every wet wipe in the world jamming on, don't you, and ramming it down the throat of everyone what you shouldn't. Every left-leaning tosser in the world comes on and tells you what you should and shouldn't be doing on LinkedIn. I literally can spend minutes on there before I end up losing the plot with it, because it's fucking pathetic, isn't it? And then, but on a serious note, taking about the serious thing, it's a conversation that I don't think I've ever seen anybody in this industry have openly and publicly. Like, there is obviously people in both camps, but I've never seen it like discussed at big events or anything like that. And it's sort of a little bit of a dirty secret or a white, like the elephant in the room type thing. And I thought to myself, do you know what it is? One of our guests, I can't remember who it was, said that we've done like that podcasting, not just us, but all the podcasts, is doing a lot for the industry. It's helping take the industry forward. And I thought, do you know what it is? This is the opportunity to have a really honest and frank discussion about the things that are affecting, can or will or won't affect pest controllers, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we'll probably be the first people to have that sort of strong conversation. So I invited Shaun on, and Shaun said he'd come on. We'll have a chat about it. I'm sure he can tell you about himself as well, if you haven't been on social media, because he's all over it. But yeah,
absolutely is.
Yeah,
so very quickly before we bring Shaun on to, and this is going to get confusing because we've got Shaun and Shaun. But before we bring Shaun on to talk about this particular issue, this Shaun, and that Shaun, this Shaun, what's your thoughts on this? Just, 5-word highlight.
Truthfully, I don't care either way. I think that businesses are very independent, and I think it's not for me to tell anybody how to market because I don't know their customers. The guy who's trying to kill moles, it's fucking very good marketing. If you're rent a kill and you're looking at doing an RSPB bird sanctuary, it's probably not. So I don't mind either way, but I think what's probably going to happen, I'm guessing, is I'm going to be devil's advocate throughout it. Because you're probably going to go on the left side, I'll go to the right side, and Shaun will probably want a little bit of help off you because I'll be a twat, won't I? So.
Well, I might surprise you. I was about to say, it's my take on this, and we'll get onto this a bit more, is the one thing that I find very irritating about imagery around our industry is if you have a look at all the labels, if you have a look at all of the adverts, if you have a look at the rest of them, we always use pictures of fat, healthy, plump pet rats and mice, and they are pets. They're not wild animals at all. We seem to always use candid pictures of somebody's pet rat, and most of the time you can tell it's a pet rat because they look considerably different from that. And I think then that creates kind of somewhat of a disconnect between the animals that we are actually dealing with and people's perception of the animals that we're dealing with. People see those pictures and they're like, why would you want to kill such a beautiful and fluffy animal? You know, it just wants to survive. It just wants to live. If you actually saw a wild rat, you know, climbing its way out of the sewer, looking like a bog brush, covered in bits of detritus, and you know, you can literally see the fleas crawling over it, its tail scabbed up with mite mange, its ears are nothing but sort of like little lumps on the side of its head. They're the animals that we're dealing with. They're the ones that are spreading disease and causing damage. You wouldn't want to cuddle that. Not at all, not in the slightest. So I think actually, yeah, we do need to have a conversation around the imagery that we use in pest management, because it's misleading a lot of the time.
Come on, then. Let's get them on.
Should we get them on? Absolutely.
Yeah, come on.
So with that,
hello. How you doing?
Hello. All good. How are you doing, Shaun? That's Shaun.
Okay. I'm okay, thanks.
Excellent stuff. So, I mean, those who know you know you've done a lot of work on LinkedIn. You've done a lot of work on social, sort of like raising and networking and speaking to lots and lots of people. But for those who may not have encountered you so far, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you got to be in pest management. Not what you're doing at the moment, but how you got to this point.
So in 2020, my dad asked me if I wanted to come and work for him. It was literally, I used to work in a factory for 16 years. Crap, you shouldn't have done it. Wasted my life. And then it was, you know, when furlough was ending and companies were asking you to go back, and I was like, no, I'm not coming back. I'm going to go and work with my dad. So, and that's what happened. And I got into pest, but before that, I was doing wasp nests with my dad in the summers and weekends and things like that. So I did have a bit of experience. And throughout COVID, I did my what's it called? Basic principles in rodent control and insect control via kill germ. It was all online, wasn't it? And then I started getting some experience and doing the job. I mean, the job's brought a lot of things out of me, because I didn't used to be very good at speaking to people, because I didn't work in a factory. I didn't have to communicate with the public. So over time, I got more confident, because I was scared to speak to customers. I was. But over time, I worked out, and after so long, you can work out how to speak to customers in certain ways. If they're nervous, or you pick it up and you get better. But I could never speak to any customers. So it's made me more confident as a person and to speak to customers in the public, because it's not something you're trained to do, really. Not part of the courses, is it? I have to feel
it's not. I mean, it's actually a really interesting. It's a really interesting point you bring up there, because you're quite right. We don't have a public speaking element of the level 2. But when you speak to some of the people who've been through the servicing companies and stuff, and I know this for a fact, the renting, for example, when they're down at Church Farm, they would have sit-down role-play elements where they'd be like, right, you be the homeowner and you be the pest manager, and talk us through that interaction as you turn up to the door. What are you telling them? What's too much? So yeah, there is, you know, some of the companies have cottoned on that this is a big part of it. But of course, if you are not part of that big organization, if you're part of a micro business, or you are setting up on your own, who's there to tell you, right, this is what we do, you know, don't mention this, don't mention that, you know, don't jump straight in. The do's and the don'ts. You kind of have to learn it by trial and error. And you're right, customers are scary. Especially the customers that have got access to Google. I mean,
Google says, but yeah, over time, I got more confident, and I kept talking to customers more, and it became a common practice that I basically spoke to the customers all the time on the jobs. and I got more and more experience over time. And in 2023, I went for my RSPH. Let's get this right. RSPH Level 2 in Pest Management Award in Pest Management. Not the certificate that everyone moans about. I've done that. I failed it first time. I openly admit it. I passed the rodents and I failed the other 2 modules. But because it was October 2023, then in 2024 April, I did it with Rat Pack. So it was Debbie Wilson that put me through it. And on my second time round, I passed the invertebrates and the health and safety, and I was passed. So that was good. That's when I got that. So I did work on my basic principles for quite a while, but I've passed that now, and I started to get more confident in speaking to people. And as you may all know, I talk and make videos on social media all over the place. And what I've learned recently is people can be very nasty. I've had an Instagram post.
Really?
I've had an Instagram post that's blown up, and I've got about 100,000 views on it. And it was about me talking about VR gaming. I had to take the comments off in the end because there were people. Some people like to take the piss because I got bigger lips. Do you know what I mean? So I deleted a lot of the comments. I turned the comments off in the end, but it don't bother me. But it's just a bit weird. They all kept saying the same thing, but it is what it is. You've got to have thick skin in social media. You have, but I've learned that.
Yeah, this kind of loops a little bit round. So 2 things I want to say. Number one, Debbie Wilson, absolutely phenomenal trainer.
She is.
She works as an independent. She works for a lot of the. She works for some of the distributors. She also works for. Does a little bit of work alongside Wade Environmental still. Highly recommend if you are looking to do your level 2 award, or you know someone who's going to do it, or even your level 3s. She is phenomenal for that. So a bit of a plug for Debbie there, because she's an absolute superstar.
And she's been on my podcast as well.
She has been on your podcast, absolutely. So go and have a listen back to that if you want to learn a little bit more about Debbie. But as you were saying, the power of social media, and this kind of loops back to what we're probably wanting to talk about today a little bit, which is people, when they are behind the screen, feel as though they can say whatever they like. And so people are much more prone for the negativity of it. You only have to look, it started off as, it back in the 90s, being, you'd call it trolling, wouldn't you? You'd go on and you have a bit of lighthearted humor. But it seems to have evolved from trolling to just an excuse to being out and out, like, venomous and horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, we have that. I'm just going to, Shaun, do you want me to add you back to this, Shaun? Do you want to add you back to the stage? Ah, there we go. Right, I was wondering why you're waving at us.
Oh, why my camera's went in, so I'm on a guest link here. So yeah, lost us. I could hear what you were saying, and a lot of it.
Okay, we were just saying, Shaun won. We were basically just saying that social media these days, the power of the internet, allows people to speak with a voice that they wouldn't usually speak with in real life. And so you get a lot more vitriol, a lot more venom directed at people. And so Shaun, Pest Perspectives, this is going to get so difficult for me, was saying that he had a post up on Instagram which was blew up because people just, rather than choosing to look at the content, just wished to sort of like have jibes at his expense. And I think this all kind of like, it very much sets the scene for what we want to talk about tonight, which is letting yourself be open, and let's be fair, dead animals are a part of our industry. You can't get away from that. We are Pest Control. We create them. But the thing is we shy away from that. We don't show society that as much because we are afraid of being vilified by this very vocal minority. So there we go. I've set the scene for you both. I'm sure.
So my question to Shaun would be, why do you not put them on? What's your thinking for why you wouldn't put, or why you believe that you should tell pest controllers not to put them on?
So I'm going to rephrase that, Shaun, because that's not what my post actually said. My post said pest control companies on their social media brands shouldn't put dead animals on there. And a lot of people took it in different ways.
Why should they not put it on?
Because Right. The problem is with these social networks, you put a lot of content on there, you build them up, do very well, and 10 people or whatever can report you, and you can end up losing your account and being shadow banned. But it does make don't think it's all pictures, because different contexts, say instance ratting videos.
Who do you know has been shadow banned for putting a picture of a dead animal on through work?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it could happen.
So there's a very small minority. Is it a case that it is the small minority who are stopping you posting part of your work, or is it your personal belief that it shouldn't be posted?
So where I live, in my area where I live in Rutland, and we have it's known to be a rich area. So I make content on moles as well. I don't post the moles. I even get stick of people. I haven't even put a picture of moles, and I get stick saying, "Oh, you're cruel, you kill moles, etc." Oh, it's illegal. I hear that a lot, and I have to correct people. But I just personally don't feel I can do it, because we have so many issues. I know not everyone has had it happen to them, but with social media, you don't have to do much anymore to have a lot of people don't know what a shadow ban is. A shadow ban is where you put a post out and it's dead. You'll get like 5-10 views and it just dies. It does. Or they put a cover over it, so you have to click on it.
Yeah, but the truth is that's not happening. It's not happening. I know you think it might, and you're going to say it's not happening, and we know it's not happening. And I can prove to you now it's not happening.
Well, the thing is, it makes my reason is I believe it makes the industry look bad, right?
Yeah,
we have enough people taking chemicals off us on all our tools, and the public see, and they see dead animals and they go mad.
Yeah, but Shaun, this is my whole problem with it. Yeah. We are allowing a very small minority of people who aren't in our industry, who don't know anything about our industry, to dictate what we do. And when you're a leader, you have to lead, not follow. You know, you have to plow on, and you have to head in the right direction. I'm not suggesting that you start posting pictures of dead animals. What I'm saying is, the more we cow down to these people, the worse it's going to get, the less you're going to be able to show. And actually, if you look at, I know you're very keen on metrics, on metrics.
Yeah.
So if I said to you, like, have you ever tested it on metrics, on what actually gets people to look and gets people to comment? Because I don't know, how many followers have you got on Facebook?
I don't know. It depends which Facebook. I don't. My account's not public, so probably.
No, not on Oakham Pest Control. How many followers?
115. But I'll tell you something now.
Yeah, listen.
Followers mean nothing.
Yeah,
I get about 10,000 watch my stuff.
How many? Yeah. But hang on a second. If you look at the people who, without a shadow of a doubt, have done the best in social media in our industry, hands down, you'd look at Christian Hems, you'd probably look at Kieran Casper, Kieran Sampler, and others, who have hundreds of thousands of followers, who are now generating revenue from it, who post stuff left, right, and centre. So when you look at the metrics, it's all right to say there's this small thing, but my belief now is that when you cow down to that 5% of people who are the most vocal, who are going to scream and shout at you because they don't like it, they're never going to use your fucking services anyways.
Yeah.
Right. I want to jump in here. I desperately want to jump in here. I'm so sorry, because three things. Like, number one, okay, and I want to bring this point up from Jasmine, because I think she puts this very succinctly here, which is, if you have a look at the meat industry, everyone loves hamburgers. Yeah. Everybody loves cows. Absolutely nobody wants to see a cow getting slaughtered. Okay.
Before you move into 2 and 3, let me deal with this, because this is exactly the point I would make.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about responsibility and we talk about being honest about things. How many people go to Tesco's and they will buy cheap bacon, and you come home and you eat 1.5 packs of it and the other pack goes in the bin? Something's died for that. In our we stand there and we go, it's fine, we don't want to know about it. But something gave its life up and we simply threw it in the bin. If we knew where it came from and we understood what went into it, we'd probably be a lot more responsible with how we dealt with that meat. And it's the same, I believe, it's the same in pest control. It's all right to go, no, I don't want to see it. But if we actually knew that animals died as a result of it, maybe people would stop being scruffy fuckers, get the drains fixed, take it a lot more seriously, treat you like professionals, pay you a bit more, if they understood the implications of what was going on. Like, how many people throw it away?
I can prove to you that won't work. That absolutely wouldn't work. Empirically, I can prove that to you, and we've all done this. The pictures of animals stuck on glue boards didn't push people to be more socially responsible, didn't push people to be more food secure, didn't push people to clear up their waste or fix their drains. What did it do? It pushed people to ban glue boards. If someone sees an animal caught in a rat trap, who's responsible? The person who put the trap down?
Let's get this right, though. Yeah, but let's get this right. We had the BPCA were quite instructive on that, like the fought for, etc. But the truth is, we're getting messages from the BPCA saying don't post it. If we were united against it, and there lies the big problem, we've got a small number of people who are at the top saying don't do it. Like, the whole reality of life should be there.
What was the BPCA doing?
They were fighting for the glue boards to keep them.
Yeah, to keep them together. But they didn't say don't post anything. They said get involved. They were trying to get pest control.
I can show you messages now from the BPCA to individuals, pest controllers, saying do not post that, do not post that, do not post that. I can bring them up and show you them. I won't, because it's unfair. The person here is there saying don't do that. It's not very professional. So the BPCA were absolutely taking that line. I've got the messages.
I think that's
probably it was so emotive for people that they were sending us them during the week saying this is what we've been told. And I've seen the messages myself, so they were doing that, but they were doing it in the back end of it.
But at the same time, you have to admit that the BPCA and admittedly the MPTA to an extent as well fought tooth and nail for us to get the little that we could. If they hadn't done what they did, if they hadn't pushed forward, let's not talk about glue boards, and not talk about trade associations, but they pushed very hard. Otherwise, it would have been a total walkover for our industry. And a bit again, but it's that vocal small minority that said this is terrible. And you still see people putting pictures up today of glue boards saying these are awful, awful things. But people won't take social accountability for the rats in their garden, but they will get upset about the tools used to control them.
And this is the thing, you're a leader or a follower. In my eyes, you're a leader or a follower. You either turn around and say, yeah, that's what we do, and we do it for this, and we use it. It's the only topic that we do in pest control where we don't use it as an opportunity to educate the public. We roll over, we shut our eyes, we let them shove it up, and we go, sorry, sir. Like, no, it's the harsh reality. Stuart says it there, detachment from the reality of real life and death, and that's what we're doing.
I don't disagree. Absolutely. I think that was the exact thing that I said at the very beginning of this podcast, was the detachment between reality and fiction.
But the point I'm making is we need to get rid of that detachment. We need to be, as an industry, if we want to be truly seen as professionals, the reality of what we do, I believe, has to be shown. And it is a very small minority who spoil it for us, a very small minority. And we're letting them push us around.
I don't disagree. Anyway, Shaun, we have both had our opinions on this.
Yeah, we'll probably give you them, son.
It didn't faze me, Shaun. I knew it was all coming. You gave me too long to prepare. I then pushed it back.
Come on.
So, obviously, I see, I was obviously prefacing brands on social media. Now, here's the flip of the coin. Yeah. I have no problems with the likes of people like Stuart Blair, who does great content, using it for educational content. And like the ratting videos, Kieran Sampler, I love them. I like that kind of stuff. It was more from a brand perspective as an industry. I wasn't saying everyone's got to stop. It was an opinion. And I'll be honest, I never thought that post was going to blow up like it did. I was like, oh, what have I done? You know,
I didn't start off with, because you got all the wet wipes on there. LinkedIn's just filled with them. It's interesting, isn't it, that depending on what platform you put that on, depends on the response that you get.
I imagine if I put that on a different platform, it might have got ignored. It might have. It depends.
And this is it. I mean, so Hugh says, and he said a little bit earlier on, thousands of people watch ratting videos. Now, I'd imagine thousands of people watch ratting videos on TikTok and on Facebook. I imagine you don't get so many people watching ratting videos on LinkedIn, because it's all about the audience to which you are going. If I put a picture of a rat smashed to bits on my LinkedIn, I think I'd have a lot of other industry professionals turning around being like, are you okay, babe? You know, what's going on here? But at the same time, people watch this. But, and the question I'll ask the pair of you now, because somehow it seems as though this has been now the two Shauns versus Lex show. So with that, how do you think those thousands of people watching ratting videos, those thousands of people watching shooting videos, those thousands of people watching videos of rats engaging with traps and getting snaffled up by them, and there are a lot of people, are they your customers, or are they just... are they your customers, or are they people who are interested in just that sick fascination of watching an animal? And I use the word sick fascination not as a derogatory term, but as that sort of like wrong expression, but you know what I mean. Like to watch shooting videos, they like to watch trapping videos and the other bits and bobs like that. Are they our customers? Or is this now in the realms of entertainment? Not advertising, it is entertainment.
So again, someone's mentioned double-edged sword. Is the person who's screaming and shouting because you put a picture of a dead rat on your customer? Are they going to be your customer? Because I don't think they are. I think you've got a hell of a lot more chance of the people who are on YouTube seeing that employing you. Yeah, I really genuinely do. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. 100%. And the other thing as well is, and this is from boots on the ground, there is a NIMBY sort of attitude from people. I don't want to say that, my business is called Kill Line, and there's lots of people who hate that. There's people who like it, and there's people who hate the name of it. They fucking hate the name of it until they've got rats in the loft. And all of a sudden, the person who didn't want a rat killed, it had to be caught, it had to be released, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. They're in your loft and they go like, get him. Like, I understand. And then their morals change. The high and mighty, I've seen it happen a million times. The morals change and you hear the same excuses. I mean, when they're outside, it's okay. But when they're in the loft, you've got to get rid of them, don't you? And you're like, yeah, you do. Yeah. So we find that having that name is a massive help. Rent a kill, kill germ, look at the ones that are bossing it. And I think personally that you have to understand that customer changes with their needs. And if you go along trying to please them in the 99% of the time when they don't need you, they won't come to you in the 1% of the time when they do. Gut feeling here.
Okay. And I'll take a question from Jasmine and give it to the Shauns here, two Shauns, one Lex, who says, okay, I understand that the purpose of content sharing and the animals is to show how the job is done and, to show that you are good at your job. Look at the rats that I have killed. But do you believe that there are better ways of doing this? So with that, she also says, if I'm looking for a pest controller, she doesn't think that she'd be looking for ratting videos to help her make a decision on who to choose. So with that are these visceral videos the best way, the only way, or are they simply just a tool that we have shied away from because of that visceral knee-jerk reaction that some have to it?
So if you're talking about ratting videos, I believe, even though they get thousands of views, I do believe that they bring in a lot of work. I do. Like Kieran Sampler's doing very well. And I believe, because they're the kind of people that are looking for that. Because when you look at it, ratting is no rodenticide. It's the job's done there and then. You've got them all dead. So that content does bring in work. I know it does. So
yeah, it's farmers. And this is sorry, Al. Sorry, and this is the issue. Jasmine says, if I was looking for a pest controller, I don't think it would be ratting videos that help me make my decision on who to use. But if you were a farmer with a chicken farm and a rat infestation, or an agricultural farm, I will almost guarantee you that content is fucking good content and will absolutely produce you what you want. I think.
Okay, so we've progressed a little further here, which is context matters in content.
Yes.
Which is, as you say, Shaun, ratting videos show the traditional side of pest control. Absolutely fucking brilliant. Love it. But the flip of that is how do people know that is the greener traditional side of pest management when the video is just simply a dog chasing down a rat? Flip side of that as well is we have not a huge amount of control over how far and the scope and the reach of these videos go. So yes, you're originally you're doing a shot out in the dark, you're hoping to land in the agricultural sector, but you suddenly find yourself mostly being, passed around videos, finding that sphere of social media is some urban environment of shopkeepers and the rest of it. It's hit the wrong audience, and by hitting the wrong audience, it's giving a skewed message to about our industry, especially, and we've all cited here people who have done good videos. Okay, I want to now ask you, what is the impact of a bad video? Let's say, what happens if you get not a picture of Stuart doing some phenomenal sort of like shooting and knocking them down dead in one shot? You don't have pictures. Of course, we've seen Mark. He's commented. He's put some pictures up before. I'm not sure online, but I've certainly seen them on the Facebook groups of clean kills with rats using traps. What happens then when we have a bad video get out onto social media? What happens when we have that video of a rat in a badly made snap trap ticking and screaming for its life? What happens then?
Social media nightmare. That is all the newspapers will be over it, everything, unfortunately.
But there's just one video. Surely it shouldn't be a problem. There's 100 other good videos. Why is that one video such a problem?
They like to, in this day and age, they'll use anything to make news with.
We're going back to that same old thing, aren't we? We're looking at that small percentage of people, that we are bowing down to, who don't like us, don't want us to do stuff, have no interest in what we do, would like to see us wiped off the face of the earth. And it's like, all right, let's bow down to them. Why don't we, as an industry, when we say something like that, say people jump on, why don't we all back each other up and start saying to them like, no, this is the harsh reality of it. We try our best and we will do it, but we have to do it because of this. And if you didn't have this problem, we wouldn't be here. Don't blame us. Look at you.
That's a very hard line to take. That is, it's we're here to
cover things. Devil's advocate, Al.
Yeah,
I'm now playing devil's advocate now.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you probably got to explain that sometimes a snap trap goes off wrong, and this happens.
Yeah,
they don't always kill straight away, and that's probably what you need to say to convey the message. It doesn't all 99% of the time. Yes, it's great, but sometimes it can go wrong. It can, and that's just life, isn't it? It is.
Yeah. How do you get that? How do you get that message into a video?
You can actually put it up. You can actually put a voice overlay over it, explaining that. And especially when you mention ratting videos, how do you get it over to the public? It's not difficult to put a little voiceover explaining the benefits to ratting, no rodenticide, and the benefits on a lot of videos. And people listen, and that would get the message over a lot better. That would.
Absolutely. And, I see a lot of people sort of like sitting here, and guys, don't get me wrong. If this is the first time logging into the podcast, I am not against our industry at all. I am 100% for us and pushing forwards and the rest of it. But I am going to, for the sake of this podcast, push forwards with the opinion that we should be careful about the content that we put onto social media, rightly or wrongly. there is a harsh reality to what we do. Absolutely. There's a harsh reality to being an electrical technician, for example. You don't see them posting pictures all the time of this is what happens if you cross wires and show someone's house burning to the ground or someone having their fingers splayed apart by touching a main line, do you? Why would our industry therefore be so much different that we need to be so overt about the pointy end of what we do?
I think the problem is, Al, it's been tried and tested, and if we don't stand up for what we do and we're not honest and we're not barefaced and we're not straight up about it, I've seen it happen in the countryside, the Hunting Act. There was a small percentage of people who spoiled it because they didn't stick together, they like turned their back on particular areas of it, etc., and when we divide, then we will get stuff taken off us. It's when you're united that you're difficult to deal with. The arguments and infighting that come along from it, and the people who, you've seen the huntsmen and all that, were like, they push the lurcher lads out the way, like throw them to wolves. Oh, they're fucking horrible. They're not like us. Then the next thing they were gone, and the divisions that they're going to push into you is an industry. If we allow the small percentage to dictate to us what we are doing, when we do it, and how we do it, and we don't use it as an opportunity to educate the 95% of the people who don't know, and sit there and post photos of healthy rats and not photos of rats being shot, or pictures of sheep with listeriosis, then we're in trouble, aren't we? There is a real problem. And I heard this week, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard this week that they are talking about getting rid of escars in Germany because of the fucker who we had on this podcast.
Oh, right. Okay. That's not good.
What's the hang on a second. Alex, what's the thing called in Europe?
Right, so shall I give you a little bit of context here, because you've kind of got it 90% of the way there, but not.
Yeah.
So throughout Europe, we have two forms of BPR. We have UK BPR and EU BPR. ECHA and HSE are the two governing groups for that. Now, within Europe, what they will do is someone will submit a dossier, let's say, on an escar, and it will go to one of the member states. Germany, France, Belgium, Italy, whoever. They will assess that dossier, and then they will make comments on it, and they will then give their thumbs up, thumbs down with the caveats on that. And then the rest of the member states will look and say, hey, that's a great idea. We all agree. So instead of every single country having to do the work, one country does the work and the rest of the countries look at that one country and say, yeah, I think you got it on the nose there, mate. We all agree. They all have the option, of course, to disagree. Now, currently, one of those member states has had a look at some of the escar ranges and said, right, we've been given information by a group, no Chero, saying that they believe that traps are in fact a viable replacement for rodenticides in one of the 13 use patterns that rodenticides can be used for. Mice indoors only. So it's not a ban on rodenticides. It's not a ban on escars. It's not a ban on rats and mice. It's simply one use pattern, which is being contested against mice indoors from the AVK rodenticides. And it is still under review and it's still going forwards, but this one member state made its unilateral decision, and now the rest of the member states are voting as to whether or not to follow this one country's decision to do this. So that's where we stand at the moment there. But that is also where this danger lies. You mentioned a vocal small minority. It's not them telling us what to do. That's the problem. It's not like we have a placard of people outside my house telling me what to do. That sort of like mob will go and tell them, like, their MP what to do. And their MP has no knowledge as to what's going on. They just have 50, 100, 200 angry letters and pictures of a rat caught with its arm half in, half out a rat trap. And then at that point, rat traps are terrible things. We should ban all of them. Look at the damage that they're doing. The thing is that's vocal minorities not telling us what to do. They're telling government what to do. And then government tells us what to do. That's the problem. We can all band together against that vocal minority.
But if you go back to the to the start of this, everything you've said I agree with 100%. But when it's got to a point where we are hiding away from an industry of the reality of what we do, and then when someone does post it, we jump on them. You know, there's a bit of a pile on LinkedIn, can't believe it, all that sort of shit, or wherever it is. I think that rather than throw the pest controller or that person under the bus, then as an industry, we should be putting them on saying, no, we absolutely agree that you have the right to do this. And this is, you know, instead of saying, I don't think this is professional, we should be saying, this is the truth. This is the reality of where we are at. You know, this is what happens. Again, devil's advocate.
But like Adele's made a comment there, right?
Brilliant comment, isn't it?
But one thing I will say is sometimes there's context missed. Sometimes you go to say a new contract and the boxes are in a state, etc. The customer might not have told you, that they've not been in 4 months, or they haven't paid the bill, or the missing context. They might have not had a contract for a year, but they'll tell you, oh no, he was crap, he never came. You don't always know 100% the truth. That's the problem.
I'll tell you a story, Shaun. I was a farrier before I did this, and farriers, if you think pest controllers are bad, it's slagging off other pest controllers. Farriers are the worst of the worst of the worst. Oh, fucking horrendous, mate. Oh. But here's the truth of it. You only ever see someone's worst job. What you've said is absolutely true. You know, that takeaway that hasn't paid the bill, the argument, they couldn't get in, the problems that they have, you know, the breakdown in communication between the customer and the thingy because the customer's a dingbat and he's not listening and blah, blah, blah. And then they come in and they show it. And we used to say it all the time, like you'd see a young farrier had come into the area, he'd slag everyone's work off. You know, you get a horse with long toes and low heels and he's going to knock doors out of windows and blah, blah, blah. Next thing, it's pulled a shoe. And the customer's screaming at him, it's pulled a shoe, it's your fault. Next thing, he's showing it exactly the same as the farrier before him because it is the customer's issue. And I hate those posts of look at this untidy box. One, for that reason, but also as a pest controller, if your metric of how good you are at pest control is how clean you keep your box, then you're probably not the best pest controller in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like the box is the last line of defense, really, isn't it? Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
No, I did a little experiment up on the farm a little while back. Well, I say a little while back, it was probably about 3 years back, where I put a whole load of boxes along one side of a wall, and I opened them up periodically once a week and took pictures of them, and I find them somewhere just to see how quickly along one wall detritus and rubbish could blow into a box. And on average, it was about, you know, depending on the time of year, but it was only a couple of weeks sometimes for those boxes to get all manner of twigs and berries and, you know, all bits and bobs blown into them. So, yeah, obviously, if it's covered in cobwebs, it's, you know, buried 14 deep under packing crates, and the label says last checked in 1998, then you're probably vindicated in saying they've not been back for a little while. However, I fully agree. This industry, I've always said, a rising tide lifts all ships. By helping everyone else, you help the industry, you help yourself. We get an element of professionalism, and with that professionalism, we get the respect. And with the respect, we get some money.
So I have a question for Shaun then.
Yeah.
Where imagine you, I'm gonna ask you to go on the proper left of this, right? Don't post pictures. Don't post pictures. It's not very professional. Don't do it, right? So I want you to think you're in that side of the camp now. You and Al are together on the left, and I'm on the right.
Don't post pictures. Okay.
Yeah, so you've got that mindset. Where does it stop? What can and what can you not post pictures of? How do you put a metric in that says this is the fence line that we do not cross? Is it? Yeah, and Stuart's asked this question a number of times. It was something I thought was really important. Why do we? Probably easier to say that. Why do we differentiate between insects and mammals?
You're probably right there, because people will post dead insects, no problem. You're right. People ain't bothered about dead insects really, unless you post loads of dead bees. Then they might be upset.
Yeah, but think of it this way. This is the other thing, and this is why I think it's really important that we look at this conversation. You've got a picture of a dead rat in a dock trap, right? It's been killed in 10 seconds. Done. Yeah, the most humane way you can kill it. Everything's great. You put it on, and people go, "That's horrendous." That. But we don't mind when we've sprayed a lump of Ficam in the entrance of a wasp nest and they're going fucking divvy because they're in a pickle, aren't they?
Okay, you're right. I do. Yeah. I have a load of content on that, and people love it. You're right, ain't you? You're fine. You're right.
I'm not saying it to be a dickwee. I'm saying it to be honest.
You are right.
Where do we put that line in, and do we run the risk that at some point it's ants eating gel bait? Like, no, well, they're not. How? Tell us how we deal with where to stop and where to start.
I would say, at the moment, there's a couple of things. The line is arbitrary because it's based on society. You go back 50 years, 100 years. It wasn't, the line moved and changed and shifted with society. Post Second World War, the reason that we have the small ground vermin order and the Springtrap approval order is because the small ground vermin order came into effect after World War II, when quite literally the name of the game was, if it's small and furry and eating the dwindling supply of our rations, kill it with tremendous prejudice. And so the societal attitude towards rats and mice was very different only 70 years ago. Okay, flip side of that, you're coming on further today where we're not in a point of scarcity. People then will start to anthropomorphize, and they can see them cute. They can emotionally understand a rat. Mm-hmm. They used Mickey Mouse. We've got Ratatouille. We have 100 different sort of fuzzy characters now, so people are more emotionally connected with this image of an animal, not necessarily the animal itself, because if you have a rat, as you say, in your attic, different. But
what I'm saying is
the image of it.
What I'm saying is we could put that thing in place now and say, listen, insects is sort of all right at the minute, and these are bad. But it can only, if we carry on, it can only go one way. It can only go the way that at some point insects, and then we'll be standing there going like, oh, fuck it, we're losing. At some point, you've got to take it to the stand, haven't you?
There was a paper put out and comments made somewhere in Europe. It will come to me in a bit, where there was claims that insect glue boards on insect light traps were inhumane because that animal died as a result of dehydration and starvation under the baking sun of a UV light. And they're not wrong. The animal did die of dehydration and starvation, and because insects are poikilotherms and their metabolisms are relatively slow, it takes significantly longer for them to die as of that effect than it would do a vertebrate animal. So you could argue that animal's suffering was prolonged. However, its ability, and I think this is the dividing line, an insect's ability to perceive danger, pain, and distress is much, much smaller, vastly diminished that of a vertebrate animal. And so,
can I give you another reason why I think insects are okay at the minute? Because the law allows it. So I'm pretty confident under the Animal Welfare Act, you cannot be convicted of pain and suffering to an insect. I'm pretty confident.
Most insects are the only invertebrates, I believe, that are covered by law are certain decapods, so that's crabs basically, squid and octopus. Not squid, sorry, octopus. And with that, they're the only ones that are realistically covered by law, unless they're an endangered species, in which case whole other set of rules apply. But it's all got to do with that animal's ability to be what we consider to be self-aware and cognitive. Any animal can respond to a stimulus, but can an animal preempt that stimulus from occurring because of being able to...
Do they feel pain, isn't it? Do they feel pain?
No, everything feels pain. That's a misnomer. Everything feels pain. If you don't feel pain, then you don't learn from your mistakes. You carry on walking across the bed of knives. So the ability to feel pain is simply a sensation. It's the ability to emotionally process pain into a series of structured thoughts and then preemptively act upon that memory, let's say, is what separates a lot of animals.
There's a couple of cracking comments just come in.
There is.
Yes, sorry. This has gone so philosophical. I absolutely love it.
I knew this would happen. Shaun, I knew when you posted that if you come on. Just to give people a bit of context. Shaun said, Shaun said, we can talk about this, and this. He said, because I don't think we'll get an hour and a half out of this. And I was thinking you'd get 3 or 4 hours out of this.
I was wrong.
I knew it would. Orlando Jackson makes a point here. And I think this is this whole conversation, this double-edged sword, isn't it? If you post controversial pictures, expect some grief from somewhere, sometime. Simple Darwinian principle, just a bit adapted. I agree with that 1,000,000%. I think what you have to do if you are posting is you have to work out the pros and the cons. So if you're going to do a Christian Ems, a Stuart Blair, what you call it, name forgets us, but you're going to actually push into it and you're going to double down on it, then the bad comments that you get will actually push you further and further because the algorithm will know and it'll put in front of more people and you'll get more stuff, but you're going to get a bit more shit. But at some point you might be able to build off the back of it. But this is where you have to have your nous about you and make it work. My belief. Shaun?
That's actually true, because the people that give me a stick on next door, there's a guy every year that when I post wasp stuff, oh, you're killing the wasps, all this. And I actually thank him every year. Turns up, thank you. Why? Every time you moan on the posts, it reaches about 2,500 views. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
He hates it. All right, thank you. I'm always kind when he goes, so I post a little video sometime. Oh, you're killing them and all this and that. I'm always polite. I'm never nasty. I'm like, thank you. The post that you are right there, actually, it goes up. The reach goes high as well. It does. So, yeah.
I'm going to make a little bit of an admission, and I don't think anyone will believe that I did this, but I did do this. I've done it several times, and I've tried this out, and it's fucking true. You'll get that guy from next door who posts and he writes horrible things. We have a particular guy in this area who I knew, who I'd past work to, and then he would leave the wasps alone and don't kill moles and you're horrible and all this. And I ignored it a couple of times, and then eventually I said, I didn't threaten him. I just sort of intimated that if we ever met, we would have this conversation in person. That's all I did. I didn't say I'm going to smash your face or anything like that. I just said, listen, you live in Gisborough, I live down here. At some point, we're in relatively similar things. I'm sure our paths will cross and we can have this conversation in person if you want. He never, ever, ever commented again. This is what I was saying early on. You've got this little 5%. If you don't nip them in the bud, if you don't deal with them, they're just like a little blister that gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And 99% of that group are as soft as shite. They haven't got out to them. They give over as soon as you challenge them on anything. As soon as you tell them this is a little bit getting, you can see them, they're like, oh, and they just shut up.
But the thing is, it's like me. Like to be fair, I'm quite a big bloke. So I'm not. You've all seen my gym stuff. I can't lift what Alex can yet, but I'm getting there.
I'm a hobby, mate. Don't worry about me. If anyone's ever met me, I don't know anyone's called me a big bloke. But no, it is. You're right. It's one of those things. But I would like to loop back, if we would, to a comment made almost an hour ago, which was Susan saying we have to be responsible and educated. Yes. I think this is it. I think that we are all talking from the same point of view here, which is we have to be responsible in what we post. We can't.
I'm just laughing because that is the most fucking comment I've ever heard of my life. Say that again. Go on, say it again. I love that.
I believe that we're all talking from the same point of view.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. I love you, Al. Keep going. I love your balance. Come on.
But we all have to be responsible. We all agree that irresponsible posting of photos online, they're not doing anyone a good. They're not driving traffic. They're not driving leads. They're not helping raise the profile of our industry. Arguably, though, yes, we cannot move away from the fact that the point of a pest controller, we call ourselves pest managers, but pest control is a part of our industry, is to control infestations of pests. And the way that we do that, yes, it may not be savory to some, but it's a reality of it. Now, the point is that's the point in which we educate people. We be responsible with the content that we put out on there. We don't show pictures of animals literally running around, it's screaming heebie-jeebies, because that doesn't benefit our industry. It doesn't qualify our professionalism. But the education around when you do see a rat kicking in a trap and someone's like, look at it, it's in so much pain. No, then you jump and say, no, actually that rat died a good 3 seconds ago. The point being is those nerve impulses, which will continue down the spine, will make it appear as though those legs are kicking. The animal died in a very humane way. It just appears that it hadn't. And I think that's it. Responsibility of what we take and education around how we do it. That would be my tagline.
Question, and this is the one thing that I wanted to drill down to in this whole podcast. I think it's the most important. Can you bring that comment back up, Al?
Oh, I have to scroll all the way back up.
Yeah, I know. And this is the one.
Oh no, wrong one.
Yeah, this is the one thing I wanted to discuss more than anything else about it. It's the word responsible, because I see the responsibility different to use to. I think, and I'm happy to be wrong on this, more than happy. Use see the responsibility in terms of brand, in terms of posting, in terms of upsetting people, is maintaining the status quo. That's how it comes across to me anyways, unless I'm getting it wrong. Whereas I see the responsibility as being, we are there to absolutely point out that if you are putting bird feeders out in your garden, next door might be doing this, that it's all right feeding the birds and going, oh, there's only one little rat running around, or, so I think the responsibility is a lot more deep rooted, and I think not posting them often is the irresponsible thing to do, because what you're doing is you're hiding and you're playing into it, and you end up with these people who have a unrealistic expectation of what's going to happen.
I would argue as well, though, but that's not what we're seeing at the moment. We're not seeing someone put a picture of a rat up in a snap trap saying, this is your fault.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I don't think anyone's going to do that. I think that would be marketing suicide to tell your potential customer base that this terrible thing that they're looking at, terrible inverted commas, is their fault. That would alienate people.
I'm not suggesting you isolate individuals when you do this. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm suggesting is that if we looked at it in a more, I don't like using left and right because it's a load of shit in it. It's just thought process, isn't it? But yeah, if we look at it from like what my sort of hunting shooting background, I think we would be in a better place if people had a far more realistic understanding of where their food come from, the fact that if you don't do things, things have to die. And I think the more that we turn towards the left and the softer people in life, the worse that it's going to get, not for us, but for the animals. That's what I think personally.
Sean, I'm thinking, can you jump in right now?
I'm thinking too, because it's very, yeah. Well, it's like Mark Porter said that education is power.
Yeah.
That's a good comment there.
Maybe there's someone far cleverer than me and a marketing genius far better than I'll ever be, who can take what the lads who have amassed these hundreds of thousands of followers have done, and rather than do the sensationalism with it, but do it in the educational purposes. Again, I'm probably talking pie in the sky and I wouldn't know how to do it, and I wouldn't even attempt to do it. I don't know. Or maybe this is something that trade associations can have a word with and all that. But I think what you'll probably find is when you get to trade associations, they'll take the path of least resistance on most of it. Good feeling.
The trade associations
post.
put up both of them put up webinars, and let's be fair, webinars are social content, and they will talk about they'll talk about traps, they'll talk about rodenticides, they'll talk about everything. It's open to the public, it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
but they're not nearly so subscribed because it's content specific for our industry. And TikTok videos of rats, of rat dogs, of the sensationalism that get tens of thousands of millions of views. Okay, Mark says that he puts an element of education in them, but on the far one side, you've got webinars which are purely educational, and they are being made and they are being put online, and they do exist. And if you go on YouTube, you can find them. Couple thousand views. And then you have sensationalism of rat packs tearing rats apart under hay bales, tens of thousands of views, but the educational content is not there. It's implied, we know it, but it's not there.
What I'm saying, Alan, sorry, go on, Shaun.
I do, well, although I do educational content as well. Like, can you believe it? I make, my wife makes them mainly, graphics with information on. And would you believe that I made a graphic last year by a varied carpet beetle? And it's nothing on Mark Porter's numbers, I know that, but it's got 54,000 views on TikTok. I do a lot of content educational like that, but they're more like graphics, they are. But it helps educate people. It does.
See, this is, so my thoughts on it are this.
Because social media...
Shaun, I've got a wasp nest video on mine that got 12 million views, got 500,000 likes.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know how many wasp nests he brought in? Got one inquiry.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, one inquiry. Produced nothing. Figures are great, but this is where the metrics come in. Now, if you look at, I don't know, someone like Kieran. Yeah. If you look at someone like Kieran, he's like, because he's posting rats being killed and the videos of it, they've actually turned that into something a little bit special, haven't they? Like they are getting work off the back of it because they honed that down. What happened with my video was it kind of appealed to everyone and people commented, whereas his doesn't appeal to everyone. It appeals to that small percentage, but he's targeting that audience.
Yeah, he is. Because the algorithm knows what you like to watch, because that's why, as I say, people don't follow nowadays or subscribe. It's very annoying, as you might know, but the algorithm's called the interest graph now. It's all based off TikTok, but Facebook is doing it. So say you watch the Beauties and Beasties every week, but you don't click follow. I know that's annoying. They'll keep showing you the content regardless. And that's the reach is higher. I bet you didn't know that, did you, Shaun? Or did you?
Truthfully, Shaun, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't mean that like, in a nasty way. Like, we're rammed. Like, I've got two lads. We're busy. I don't post because I can't be bothered with the fucking wet wipes commenting and stuff like that. I just think we're doing all right. And the truth is,
something animals like to prove it.
Yeah, you've got, for me, you've got to really push into your social media to make it work. And we're not going to do that. It's easier for me to contact Google and to pay Google. It's a better return around and it's more guaranteed. So we just do that. But yeah, like, But yeah, I'm sure everything you're saying is true. Just like, I never wanted to be a TikTok star or a YouTube star out like that. In fact, the thought of being that is a little bit sort of cringy for me. I don't like it. I've tried to post in like content, useful content videos that I think would help someone with a problem, but it's just, I'm just sick of it.
Seems to your own, whatever you want to do.
I mean, we amazingly enough, we've almost come to an hour and a half of this, but what I'm going to say is this, and I'm going to pull a little bit on what both of you have said here, which is social media is hard. It is hard. Yeah. Marketing is hard. Okay, marketing, you have to know your audience, and by that you have to know all of your audiences. You have to know your pain points. You have to have your sales funnel. You have to have a campaign and strategy in place. You need to be consistent. These are all things you can teach yourself, but if you are out actually doing the job, is very hard to manage. And there is a fear that that small influence that you have, that ball that you've got rolling, you could lose it all in a heartbeat with 3 reports and a couple of bad reviews.
That's me. That's my feeling.
That's your feeling, yeah. And the thing is a picture of a rat, it could absolutely blow you up. It blows your socials up. You got 10 million views. That's absolutely fantastic. You've got 30 minutes. And back to Shaun's point, we shouldn't capitulate to these people. But the reality is that they do have power over us, because that is the way that the system is designed. They won't look at a picture and say that's got 30,000 thumbs up. They'll look at that picture and say that's got 200 reports. It's gone.
Fuck 'em.
And so has the following with that. So the thing is are pictures of rats in traps, and the question, is it just basically low-hanging fruit? Is it an easy way to drive people towards your site, or is it actually a valid marketing tool? Because we see there are people here that do use it as a marketing tool, but they're all.
I think we've lost it. Just out of interest now. I think we've lost it. I think we've lost people watching now. Have you seen the comments? It's went from Jason, but you are an OnlyFans star, Shaun, which I thought was a one-off. Quickly followed by Stuart Blair with dishing out a parrot. Shaun in a wasp-proof thong. Like, I don't know how we've ended up. Tonight, guys, what made you think of that? Like, just out of interest. Like, yeah. And then, are we allowed to talk about this? Terry Ashley's. Yeah, of course we are. But yeah, OnlyFans. We call it Only Fools. She's on Only Fools, isn't she? I think that's a far better name for it. Agree? Yeah, Christian Ems, he does the lifetime rat-free guarantee, pulls in a lot of views. Yeah, 100,000.
Oh.
Not what I would do. To their own, if his business works.
I made a video once on YouTube telling people not to block the holes of a wasp nest. I actually got a job out of it. The guy said, "I've seen you on YouTube." Did you? Yeah, you were telling people not to block the holes, so I rang you. Oh, that was worth it then.
What? I don't know. So let's have a recap. Al, you tell us what your recap is. I'll tell you what my recap is, and then Shaun can tell us what his recap is, and see if we're all on the same page.
My recap with this is that the pictures themselves are not the issue. It is the context in which the pictures are used, which is what we need to focus on in here. We've seen many perfect examples on the podcast there of people that we know that have used this content to help elevate their profile and simultaneously elevate the industry. We've also heard of other examples of bad practice where that can be held up to the light and viewed by the wrong people. So I believe context matters. We are responsible for making sure that the content that we put out there shows our industry in the most professional light we have. And then off the back of that, we have a duty of care to ourselves, to each other, to this industry, to educate those who might actively push against us from a point of ignorance, and we need to be able to fight against that. The only way we can do that is through education. That is my recap.
Go on, Shaun, what's your recap? What do you think?
My recap is I hope people realise now I'm not against people posting dead animals, because off that LinkedIn post I thought everyone hated me. And that's not it. It's all about context. Certain context is fine. It is. So hopefully you all know, and all LinkedIn know, that I've got no problem with dead animals. It's all about context. That's the big part of it. And hopefully going forward, people that make videos could add some other tips in that we mentioned about maybe putting a little audio bit over explaining the benefits to some of these methods of pest control, which would help. So hopefully that helps people, because it can change all the negative comments. Oh, I didn't realise that. That's better than rodenticide, the ratting. So hopefully that might help.
Yeah, and my takeaway from it totally different views. I think
Caroline hoodie.
That's what your takeaways on your chest.
Sorry about the camera and the light. It just, I don't know why it went off, but there we go. Mine is, I think, and I hope I'm proven wrong, that in the future, what you will find is that if we do not take a stand against the people who are causing this conversation, and we do not unite as an industry, then slowly but surely they will use it to pull us apart, and they will never stop. They will never, ever stop. It's not like once they've got escorts banned, they'll stop. They move on to something else consistently and habitually all the time. So my gut feeling is, in as much as I agree with everything you are saying, if we go to that deeper level, Susan's just said it, the word is educate, but I think as a whole industry, we need to back one another up. And if they post something and we see someone posting, even if it's the, even going back to the box thing, I think it's very indicative of us as an industry, and we need to band together. Gut feeling.
Do you know the easiest way to band together?
Just watch Beauties and Beasties podcast, like a share, like, follow and share.
He's going to say, join a trade body, isn't you?
I am. It's the easiest way to get your voice. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I know we talk about trade associations here, and I have this sort of like standing agenda that everyone should join one. I'm on the board of one, but genuinely don't care which one you join. Join one, have your voice there, because we could all be a milling crowd of people being like, I like that. But if you've got one asshole in the middle with a megaphone, your point's going to get across, isn't it? So with that, join an association, funnel your views into them, because you don't have an opinion. If you sit down and shut up and just don't get involved, then exactly what Shaun says is going to happen. We're going to get run over roughshot, and we've got a better chance of doing this together.
And of course, if you are a one-man band and you don't join, or you don't stand up, you don't reply to the emails that are sent out about your training, then you end up in a position where, you might have people in your industry who don't represent you because you haven't stood up, who are pushing the industry in a direction that you don't wish to go, and it's no good stand on the sidelines fucking complaining about it. You've got to, if you genuinely love the industry, which a lot of us do, you've got to get involved. Got to.
Well, that's why I applied to be on the MPTA board of directors. I am standing. I'm a small one. Well, with my dad, we're a 2-man band, and if anyone knows me, I definitely have put my opinion across in meetings. I can assure you.
That's what we need. And the thing is there is a bottleneck, which is, by definition, a trade association is run by a small number of people. Funnel your ideas into those people that are there, or get involved. This is not me getting back on this again, but we can do this.
You're on there again, aren't you? Oh, fucking hell, do you get paid off them? Do you get paid off them? You never shut up about it, lad. Do you get paid off the BBC?
No.
I'll get paid off the BBC to push their agenda, don't you, Al?
I get passionate about this industry because I genuinely believe that we do good, and I was going to swear my arse off there. I hate it when we are pushed down, when we're bedraggled, when people don't take us seriously. I genuinely hate it because we do so much good for society, and it just pisses me off. So I get passionate about these things. Yeah, I am going to be like on this, and no, I'm not paid. And if people want to pay me for this, I'll set up a GoFundMe.
What's that mean? This for London's Road. Shaun, you're going to get some shit off stream. Lol, I don't know what that means. Who's going to say out to me, like? And if they do, I won't listen anyways. It's not a problem. Like, I genuinely don't guess. It's not an issue. Anyone is quite funny though. If anyone wants to go and have a look, this proper it full on tickled me. This the BPCA put a post out saying, "Come and join our board. Are you an independent person? Do you say what you think? Do you not follow the crowd? Do you love the industry? Are you going to step up for the industry?" And 2 people suggested that I join the board. The BPCA laughed at the suggestion. How do you loved and wanted? They literally laughed at the suggestion, just put smiling, laughing faces on. I was like, oh, well, obviously I'm not wanted. Then.
Trade bodies need people like you.
Sorry, that's Kat, and Kat has a wicked sense of humour. I would back your position on the board, 100%.
Well, exactly. No, I don't want to be on it. I'm not interested. Just out of context, I don't want them thinking.
You can't be like, I'm angry they wouldn't
let me
on the board.
I'm not angry at it. I'm just
Just
to clarify, I am not angry at it. I didn't want to be on it. I thought it was funny. I just love the fact that I laughed, because I thought there's nobody else in this country, I'm pretty confident they would have laughed at that suggestion of, other than me. I thought, fuck it, like blackballed or what?
Just to clarify though, Lex, to be on the board, the committee board, the way Shaun's talking, would he have to be a BPCA member?
Yes.
Well, he's not, is he?
I mean, that's a relatively easy thing to fix.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just join. Not like he's not going to get turned away. So yeah, there you go. It feels like his paperwork, and he was there before. Whichever side of the fence you sit on, Shaun's point is exactly that. We need to stick together as an industry. We are beset on all sides. We have those at the highest level of government and regulatory authorities wanting to slowly diminish the toolkit that we use. We have people sitting from a position of ignorance wanting to basically restrict our job or to remove it entirely. And the only people that know what really goes on is us inside the industry. And if we are not prepared to all band together and talk about this openly, honestly, and from a sense of professionalism, then yeah, right, you deserve to lose everything because you're not prepared to stand up for it.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Funny, Shaun, we've sort of changed the 3 questions into 4, but you get a question. So is there a question that you would like to ask Lex and myself?
Please no more.
Come on, Axe.
No.
Come on.
I watch the podcast every week. I've heard everything. I don't really have one.
All right, fair enough. Just
Why you want? Why I think you got a TikTok account? There you go. As in the Beauties and Beasties podcast.
That's a real bone of contention at the moment. Okay.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so originally we had a basic membership to StreamYard, which allowed us to stream live to 3 platforms. And we were like, yeah, let's do Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. They're all good. And Shaun for ages has been like, we should do TikTok. And I'm like, who wants to see us on TikTok? Like, what?
I can assure you'll get a hell of a lot of people. You will.
Yeah,
we'll get a hell of a lot of people. But back to this conversation. Are they people who are interested in pest control, or are they just people?
What's the thing that we're trying to encourage in this industry? Young people to join. Young people?
Okay. In which case, we've literally just paid as of last week for an extended membership for this, which gives us another 3 streams that we can stream out live to. So yeah, we'll do Instagram, we'll do TikTok.
Davey Brown's put a comment on it, says, Shaun, think you're just ahead of Ian Andrew, but it's close. I'm not sure what that means.
Right, where's this?
Just in the comments. I don't know. I'm sure he'll tell us about it later.
No, he's on about you, not me. Oh, I got confused there. Sorry. I thought you meant me.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I don't know, right. Okay.
So,
I'm not invited. Right, yeah. 3 questions, Al. Come on, let's move on.
Let's move on. Right, so with this, have you enjoyed your time on the podcast, Shaun?
No. I'm joking. It's been great fun. I finally got an invite on the podcast. Finally.
We have got a waiting list going on now. It's amazing.
When we started
when we started this, we were begging people to come on. We were like, can you please come on? Can you please come on? And now we have a waiting list. I mean, I never thought I'd be in that position.
I've been on twice, though.
I'm proud of that.
Tell you what, Shaun. Yeah, but Shaun, listen to this. I'll tell you what is quite interesting. When we first started off, right, getting people to come on was incredibly difficult. A lot of them were absolutely piss scared of it, weren't they, Al, if we're honest? Mm-hmm. And now, I can guarantee you now, some of the naysayers and the people who said no have asked to come on, and they will, like, I would say probably ain't going to get the opportunity to come on. For me, we'll see. I'm not going to say.
Can we please give a nod to the first guest we had on who started this ball rolling?
Best guest we've had. Best guest we've had, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Scott Johnson from the BPCA.
That was a good one. You roasted him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I honestly believe, hand on my heart, we would not be where we were if Scott Johnson hadn't to come on. I think he was that, because the change in the tide after Scott had come on was absolutely immediately apparent, where people went, bloody hell, he's done well for himself. That's been quite good. And you get that guest on and he just changed it. We were just absolutely incredibly lucky that we got him as a first guest.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Scott, Stuart as well, really helped us with some
To be
really
fair,
good guests at the beginning. But yeah,
your podcast has probably made it easier for me to get guests in general, because people are more open to it now. I don't find it that difficult to get guests.
I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a saturated market. There are 2 podcasts in the UK. There are some,
and I am willing to do a recording if people don't want to go live. That's a difference.
So just for anybody who's out there thinking they've got 2 podcasts, we don't need another one, I just want to quickly address it while Shaun's on. Having podcasts is like a pub. It's like having a pub. If you have one pub on its own in the middle of nowhere, not that many people come to it. If you have 15 pubs on a street, people go from one to the other, and it creates something. So if you want to have a podcast, you would absolutely get mine, Alex's, and I'm sure Shaun's support, because every pair of eyes you bring then starts watching ours watch yours, and it's not a vicious circle. It's a like a self-fulfilling circle thing.
It's a circle jerk.
If you don't mind watching it,
go for it. Yeah.
If you don't mind watching the American podcast, there's quite a few to watch per week. There is, or listen to. There is.
So, talking of podcasts, Shaun, do you want to give us a shameless plug?
Yeah, I can do that. If you want to watch Pest Perspectives, it's basically a show where I interview people and I try and educate people and entertain. I have various guests on each week. And now you can get CPD on it, which I was well impressed. Shaun was the one that opened the door for me. Now the BPCA, apparently people can self-register. Yeah. And now I'm just waiting for Basis Prompt to get back to me. I've submitted all my stuff. And let's see if I qualify. Who knows?
No, good. Keep going.
I didn't think I'd be able to, because I'm not as brainy as Lex, so I didn't think I'd be able to qualify for Basis Prompt.
You've been wildly missold. Right, very quickly. Terry said, I miss the Zoom meetings. Terry, the Zoom meetings still exist. They are on every Friday. It's the same web link that I set up 5 years ago. It has not changed since then. If you have ever joined the Zoom meeting after these meetings, you have a link to it. The links never change. It's the same link every time. And I have to say, there are a couple of folks who will listen to the podcast and actually be in the Zoom meeting at the same time, giving us a tremendous amount of shit with each other, just having a bit of a fun and a bit of a giggle. So if you want to do this in a different way, join the Zoom meeting, watch us live. It's like watching the cricket down the pub and being able to shout at the people that you don't like. So there we go.
And then there's one last question. Hang on a second, because I know that you would probably suggest that we have Jasmine Emerson on, because you've got her on your podcast next week.
I'm not going to suggest her because she's been on. I'm not going to suggest
next week is going to be good, Shaun. I thought Jasmine was coming back on yours.
She is, but what I'm saying is I'm not going to suggest Jasmine to be on the podcast when she's already
I was using it as a freaking plug for your podcast next week, you dickhead. Sorry, Jasmine's on. You should go and watch it.
Yeah, cheers. Jasmine's on the podcast on Tuesday.
Other than Jasmine, who's on your podcast next week, and people might want to watch that one.
That's it. Tuesday
who else would you suggest as a good guest for our podcast, Shaun? Who else would you want to see on?
I've got to think of people that haven't. Yeah. I don't care. Whatever. Right. I would pick. Right. I've just got to think of somebody that. I'll tell you what, who you get on. I don't know if she would come on. Mandy Hager. Or I don't. She's made a lot of good posts recently. In the chat, she's in Adele Lane. I reckon she'd be able to give you a good talk when she come on. I don't know, but she makes a lot of good posts I've seen and stuff online.
I know Adele. Very good.
I can't think of anyone else really.
Adele.
You've had
I
too many
agree.
people on. You have.
I agree,
Trying
Adele.
to think.
Yeah, let's get
Go on,
Adele.
Adele. I know you'll absolutely love
I'm
this.
sure Adele doesn't mind saying, Adele won't mind us saying she uses our software. So Adele, if you don't come on, I'm switching your fucking contract off.
Yeah, Stuart, get us some more weird
Yeah,
guests.
Stuart,
Get us some more weird guests.
Just
That'd
get
be
us another
amazing.
Bobby Corrigan.
Oh, that was a good podcast. That was really good.
It was. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think this has brought us up to the 1 hour 30 mark almost perfectly. Shaun, thank you ever so much for coming on. It's been a really interesting, but it's been quite heated, and I apologize if Shaun and I ran roughshod today, but you can see it's such an emotive.
Don't worry,
so-
I'm used to podcasting for years of it. Don't worry.
But thank you so much for bringing this up to our attention today, because it needed to be talked about. It really did.
I thought, to be fair, I was going to get more stick in the chat. I thought it was going to be quite bad, but it weren't actually.
Shaun, everyone thinks the same. Everyone thinks the same. They come on and they think it's going to be horrendous. And at the end, they go, that was all right. And you're like, yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's just like a chat down the pub, innit?
But what I'm on about is the topic, and because of what I said on the post, I thought I was going to get a load of crap because of it. Not coming on the actual podcast. I just meant the topic.
Yeah, it's never that bad, is it?
Come on, guys. What I'm hearing here is Shaun wants him to give you some shit. So while we roll the opening of the finishing credits, please simultaneously the contronym here, give him some love, and also give him a little bit of a bit of a jibe as well. So with that, I think you should arm wrestle. Right. With that, guys, I think it's night now.
Yeah.
See you all next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Beauties and Beasties podcast.